But I think Silicon Valley does have a genuine evangelist in Robert. He's someone with remarkable enthusiasm for new technology, new companies. He's someone whose enthusiasm is absolutely genuine. There's nothing artificial. He loves new stuff. I mean, I think some of the stuff he loves is bad. Some of the stuff he loves, I think, can be dangerous. But I have a great deal of admiration for his enthusiasm and for the fact that he never seems to get bored.
I always have new stuff to see.
And every time I see him, there's something new, something exciting, something... And sometimes the stuff turns out to be big, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, I find some of you may have been at the thing yesterday where we talked about Google Glass. I think I'm not as convinced as he is that it is this massive new thing, but he may well be right. I mean, give me just let me ask you one question, and then you can say a few words. What are you most proud of in terms of calling, and where were you most wrong?
Ooh. I miss things, for sure.
Well, what did you miss? What was the biggest thing you missed?
Pinterest or
Pinterest.
Groupon I didn't cover. I hate shopping apps, so I
Well, you were right on Groupon, because it turned out to be a fraud, really.
Well, but I didn't cover it. I didn't cover the Fab or Pinterest. So I
Is Pinterest for real?
Yeah. It's a exponentially growing thing. It's very popular, and I see a lot of value in it now. But I like to see things earlier than people do, and so it would have been nice 4 years ago to say that's going to be the next big thing.
Were you wrong about Google Plus?
I'm not wrong about that. Friend Feed is probably the one that
Friend Feed you were
I got most excited by, and it's not really that important, but the guy who started it became CTO of Facebook, so I was close to right. And Mark Zuckerberg certainly saw it as interesting.
And what did you get really early that you think you...
The investors in Siri said there were 2 people in the world who got Siri, me and Steve Jobs.
Wow.
So, yeah. And
that's quite a compliment for Steve Jobs.
Well, the Siri team is interesting because they since Steve's not here anymore, they say they miss him because he would yell at other team members and say, "Why don't you get what Siri's going to be?" So that gives you an insight of the culture and the innovation that's.
And is Siri? I mean, what percentage baked is Siri at the moment in terms of its potential? Is it like a 5%?
Maybe 20%. I mean, it gets a lot of things right, but it has a lot of edges. So, like, if I ask how many people are checked in on Foursquare to Siri, it doesn't know that answer. There is an answer. Foursquare knows that answer.
All right.
There is an API. Foursquare has an API, but it's not hooked up to Siri. So even this popular service is not hooked up, so it gives you a stupid answer. And so
is it hookups? Is it the absence of the hookup rather than the natural language stuff?
Yeah.
You think the natural language stuff is
It's pretty good. I mean, it understands my voice pretty well, and it understands my intent pretty well. When they came to my house and showed it to me, they showed me the back end, which they never allowed to be photographed, but it was literally hooking up an API call to an API call with a graphical interface. And they had to have somebody do that and write some code to explain, to take the intent that you said, and the natural language processor turned into some code. They had to have somebody code that, and they had to do that for dozens of services, and they never got around to.
How many of you use Siri?
Yeah, interesting.
One.
How does it break down the audience in iPhone versus Android users? How many iPhone people?
Wow, everybody.
And Android?
Yeah, there's 20%. Wow. Yeah. That's interesting too. So I was first in line for the iPhone, and I switched to Android because of this.
Yeah, I heard that yesterday.
It's a little bit rough, It's rough.
Yeah.
And that to me is an interesting. The other thing about Scoble is he is someone who tells you about the future. The fact that he's bailed now on the iPhone and he's picked up an Android device because of these glasses.
Yeah.
If I had Apple stock, I might be thinking about selling it.
Well, now I would think about buying it because the investor sold it off, and it's down under about $400 right now, and so it's not going to go down a whole lot more because I think the market has recalibrated what it is about Apple, and certainly their latest earnings report announced 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Tim Cook says this is not a high growth company anymore. It's going to be a more normal kind of company.
Yeah.
But they're working on TV, they're working on watches, and they're working on a high-res version of this. So they have lots of product. It's just they're not doing things that make me dream about the future. And I think we're heading into a new age. I call it the age of context, where there's 5 things I'm seeing happen all at the same time. So number of sensors around us, on us. I have 4 sensors here, 6 sensors here.
Okay.
7 sensors on another phone, 5 sensors here, right? So just on me right now is 20 sensors, and that number's going up. And sensors around the world and in our buildings, and on my Nest thermostat. Soon I'll have air quality sensors in my house, and I'll have a alcohol sensor for...
You guys all understand what a sensor is.
Yeah.
Something watching you all the time.
Yeah. Or watching things, not watching air quality is not watching us, but watching something around us. And so sensors is going up, wearable computers is going up exponentially with these things and other things that we're going to stick on our skin and other things. Database innovation is happening at a very rapid pace. I'm seeing a new database every month.
Okay.
Things like Foundation DB, which is a NoSQL database, or Firebase. There's all sorts of MongoDB. There's all sorts of new database innovation coming along to serve this new world that's going to spit off so much data. I mean, just think about the sensors in your car. Toyota is thinking about that, right? A world where every car has a ton of sensors and is spitting data as you walk around. The data center and the database technology just to deal with cars is going to need to be much different than the Oracle databases we had yesterday, right? So database is going up, and then we add in social network data. So Twitter, we're getting 1 billion tweets every 36 hours now, and it's doubling every 12 months, 14 months, something like that. So it's like a Moore's Law of its own. And then location data, the data about our building, our city, our stuff around us is going up exponentially. And so you add those 5 things together, and for people like us, it's going to mean a highly personalized product. So this product really knows who I am and is serving me and tells me all sorts of stuff about my life, not yours, right? It's personalized.
Yeah.
And it's assistive, or it's predictive, or it's getting ahead of us. So it shows me my plane's leaving tomorrow morning, so I better check in right now. It tells me the next meeting I have and what the travel time is, and it tells me all sorts of stuff that's trying to get ahead of me and help me live my life better. And we're going to see a ton of examples of that. Google Now is the famous first one, I think. But there's Tempo Calendar, which came out of the same lab or the same funding source that brought us Siri, and on and on. And for business, one more second, and then I'll get questions. But for businesses, it means 2 things. So for consumers, it means personalized and assistive, or a predictive product. For businesses, it means we're going to have our businesses are going to have sharp detail about everything in the business. Uber is a great example of this. Travis, the CEO of Uber, can see every cab or every driver in real time on his cell phone, right? Yeah. Knows every piece of inventory and knows every customer in real time and knows exactly what's going on with his business at all times, 24 hours a day on his cell phone. And so every business, I think, is going to be like that. And then every business is going to know something about us, know us at a far better level than they do today. For instance, I live by the Ritz-Carlton in Half Moon Bay. And at Foursquare, I've checked in there, 245 times. But they don't know me. They don't know anything about me. The doorman does, right?
Yeah.
Because he sees me a lot. But and the bartender knows, right? But the company doesn't know me. So when I go into the Ritz-Carlton in London, they have no concept of who I am.
Okay.
In 5 years, that's not going to be true. They're gonna have a system that knows my Facebook, my drink, my how many times I've stayed at Ritz's around the world. And it's going to be information that they're going to use to serve us better and track us and upsell us and do all sorts of business, right?
Andrew, I think it's a very interesting thing you're telling me, because you said the doorman will know you. And how many
You'll
of you?
have Google Glass on, so you walk in the door and you go, "Hey,
Hey.
Scoble, you're back." Thanks.
Yeah, but have any of you read the book of Andrew, The Digital Vertigo?
Yeah.
Two. Okay, well, you should read this book.
Scoble's in it.
Yeah, and that's what I thought so. But because with in this book, Andrew is also talking about you, and well, he says, I don't know if it's true, but it's in the book. But he was there in the neighborhood, and he just ring.
Came and visited me.
Huh?
He came and visited.
Yeah, and but
Since that book, I've met a lot of my neighbors, but
yeah.
he made me feel guilty. So
but was it true? The neighbor really didn't know who you were, or was it just?
Most people don't know who I am.
Okay.
If I find somebody who knows me, they're a geek at some level. They're interested in the tech industry.
Yeah.
You know, it's people who don't care about tech generally don't know who I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to be techie to know you.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and my neighborhood has a lot of retired people, so if you watch you should read the Wolfram, Stephen Wolfram. Yes, 2 days ago, published a whole bunch of facts about Facebook.
Okay.
And one thing is you'll see the age graph of Facebook behavior and interest in the technology world is far lower than your group, right? And so I'm more recognized by college kids than I am by 60-year-old retired people who aren't into Facebook. That's right. Yeah.
I did have one question, and then we'll come on, and this is a business question on this whole question of being recognized, because the interesting thing is how this data revolution is going to change loyalty programs. I think you're wrong to say these companies don't recognize you. I mean,
they do at some level,
well, let's say, I fly a lot. The United Airlines people, I won't say I'm one of their best customers, but I spend a lot of money there every year.
Me too.
And they recognize me. I always stay at Starwood Hotels.
They don't recognize you, they recognize that
but so I have a platinum card or, I'm a 1K.
Yeah.
So what happens to loyalty perks? So I think rather than the revolution you're talking about, I think that loyalty programs change, and there's a lot of business opportunity with loyalty programs.
Here's an example. In United Airlines, I was on business class over here, and they bring you a menu, right?
Yeah.
A paper menu. First of all, it's a paper menu. Second of all, why didn't they show that menu to me when I bought my ticket so that they could do predictive inventory, so that they ran out of some people in first class or business class got screwed because they couldn't get the meal they wanted, right?
Right.
Because they didn't have the right allotment of meals. This company doesn't know me at a deep level. And in the future, it is going to know me at a deeper level, right? It's going to know when I buy the ticket, it's going to ask me, hey, do you want chicken or I don't know what we had, meatballs, right? And you're going to say, oh, I want meatballs, and they're going to have it for you. And so now you're going to feel like a more valued customer than when you get screwed and you don't get the meatballs you want because everybody else wanted meatballs too, and they didn't have enough on the plane.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point. I think that companies like